Our top story, a sports field that cost 22 million rand with seemingly no real infrastructure there. Our reporter Aviwe Mtila has been surveying the sports field for us this morning. Aviwe, I don't know how much a sports field costs to build, but what does it look like there on the ground? Does it look like 22 million rands worth to you?
Not at all. And in fact, Enoch, I've been speaking to a number of experts on the ground. Yeah, one of them telling me that they've built 3 sports fields and a netball court to the tune of just 250,000 rand. So this one where we are at the current moment, Leysington Sports Facility, we are told it was a state-of-the-art ribbon cutting and all on Monday. The budget was 22.7 million rand, but we heard that because of not meeting some of the demands, which looks like on the ground a lot, it was cut down to 15 million rand. But I can tell you, what you see is basically what you'll be met with here. It's supposed to be a soccer and a rugby field, but it's a 2-in-1 field with both soccer posts as well as those rugby posts. But the rugby posts, as I'm telling you this very moment, are on the ground. The rugby posts are already broken off. Remember, the opening was just on Monday, but the rugby posts are on the ground. The poles themselves are just eroded already. But when it comes to the track, the Olympic track that you see on the ground here, they talk of the grass that's been added on here, but it's literally grass that's even uneven. What's funny, there's one of the bends that I was looking at, thinking if you were to run a 200-meter bend here, it actually doesn't even finish off. You literally run into gravel on the ground here on the 200-meter track. But I just want to get then some word from the people on the ground here. We are joined by the DA leader in the Enoch Mgijima Municipality. Thank you for joining us, Jane Cowley. But we understand in these processes, in the tender processes, councillors, all of the councillors are supposed to be involved. Were your Democratic Alliance councillors involved here?
The process is that all councillors should come and conduct oversight at such MIG grant projects in any municipality. Our councillors were never approached to come and do oversight. Yes, it was during COVID restrictions, so I do accept that that is a valid reason not to have come, because the project began in March 2020. However, our councillors had every much right to be here on Monday for the opening as any other councillors. Not one of them was informed of the opening, not one of them was invited to the opening, which is absolutely unacceptable. So in other words, the ruling party took this and used it as an electioneering campaign, which is quite disgraceful, because quite frankly, to hand over something as shabbily built as this is more of an insult to any community than an asset.
Then where to from here? We told 15 million rand that it took to build this facility here. Were you satisfied as a Democratic Alliance? Absolutely
not. I cannot see that this the complete project here should be worth more than 3 million rand from what I can assess. So what we will do, and what we've already done as the Democratic Alliance, we requested that a full forensic audit be done on this project and other projects in the municipality, because there's this very bad habit that all budgets and all projects overrun financially and under-deliver in terms of quality and professionalism. This is a prime example of what we've been moaning about, because this is not good enough for this community. I agree that the children in this community should have access to a good sports field. But to give them something like this and say to them, well, this is good enough and this is what you deserve, to me is an enormous insult. We will follow on and we will insist on a forensic audit, and we will be monitoring the situation on as regularly as we possibly can to see that something happens and there are consequences for the people involved in allowing this poor quality of work to be signed off in this constituency.
Okay, I have to catch up with one of the residents here in Leysington. Siswam, siyabulela ngokuthi usijoyine apha eNCA. Kodwa uyawubona lo msebenzi lona kuthiwa ucosta 15 million rand. Nithini ningumphakathi?
Hayi, sithi singumphakathi bhuti awucingi cost 15 million. Cause as a stadium sincinci sisincinci nje kwakuthiwa sawuphela kulaa ndawo. Pha kulaa ndawo. Ngoku into eyenzekileyo unobangela sibe siyavula bese kungenwa apha. ngabantu kuvaliwe sikonqena uba sivandalize into eyenzekileyo umasipala ngokwahand over esi sport field siye some question uba apha amanzi sathi liphi ibala le-netball kwathiwa ke ngoku kunyakamali olandelayo so ke ngoku thina indima yabahlali sithi thina singabahlali maku-investigeyithwe kuzobanjwa umntu obandakanyekayo kule mali kuba ke kaloku ne-fencing le babethe ayizoba yile izawuba sistena ngoku siyacela ke kuve investigeyithwe kuzobanjwa umntu avele umntu otyileyo kule mali kuba kaloku thina singabahlali besiyithakazelela uba sibe ne-sport field abantwana khoze bahlala kumabala amancinci badlala kumabala amancinci so ke ngoku thina nalena yoba nize apha umhlambi izawuthe icaciseke uba ithweni le 15 million yakundlovukazi nkosi.
Okay, questions there asked by the community member saying that what happened to the 15 million, because clearly it's nowhere near the 15 million price tag. In fact, they want investigations and they want arrests. They say they pose it from the Monday where the fancy ribbon cutting was happening. They pose these questions. Where's the water? Where's the electricity? They're not even those electricity poles. Let's say if there's a late game here, there won't be any lights, so it has to be day games, I assume. But still, it still has to be soccer games, given that the rugby posts aren't even up yet properly. Well, they've fallen off already since the Monday, but even the track, the lines are not even clear. I don't know where the so-called sportsmen are supposed to be running here and what development is supposed to happen. Enoch, Mgijima, local municipality. Of course, this has caused a social media uproar, even heading to that local government election, knowing that this municipality is run by the African National Congress. We're still trying to get word, eNCA, with Lonabo Kowa, who is a spokesperson. I initially spoke to him earlier in the morning, but now my calls aren't being taken. We're still reaching out to him, hoping that he'll give us that interview to try and explain what happened to the money, because just here is two buildings that were told are the changing rooms, and next to them the grandstand, which caters for, I counted the seats myself, caters for at least 200 people, but that is all that you'll find in this so-called state-of-the-art facility that is supposed to cost some 15 million rand, with the initial budget being 22.7 million rand.
Aviwe, we are speaking to the municipal manager later, so you've really helped us because we've got lots of questions to pose. One of the reasons that they justified the 15 or 22 million is that they said there was palisade fencing, water reticulation, rock blasting that needed to be done, athletics track and changing rooms. Have you seen any changing rooms, any showers, a locker room, anything like that, any sort of infrastructure that participants could use?
The only form of infrastructure that we're seeing on the ground, eNCA, are those changing rooms. Yes, they're at the corner there. Two changing rooms that we see from a distance. We actually walked inside of them. It has a number of showers in. There were also talks of the water catchment areas. The two JoJo tanks that you see on the side there, but what you'll ask yourself is the pricing of it, because a borehole was mentioned as well, and in my understanding a borehole cost from about 20,000 rand to 60,000 rand at least. We're talking here a budget of 22.7 million rand, and that's the only buildings, some form of buildings that you'll see there. You ask yourself, eNCA, do those changing rooms that you see in the picture there justify the 22 million rand budget, which was then dwindled down to 15 million? What we're told here, what you're seeing this very moment, costs that 15 million rand. Those two stands there caters for 100 people each, 200 people. We were told of two fields, a soccer and a rugby field, but only to be received and met by one field, which caters for both soccer and rugby. And in fact, only soccer can play here at this moment because the rugby posts have fallen off. Remember that ribbon cutting was just on Monday. The athletic tracks, I'm sure I'm going to ask my colleague. There's a particular area where you can imagine if you are a 200-meter sprinter running this athletic tracks, and as you run there, the grass that you're supposed to be running on all of a sudden comes to an end, which means as you turn that bend, especially if you're in this last two lanes, as you turn that bend, you will go into actual gravel road, turning that bend, and then you'll hopefully be met again by the grass that you're supposed to be running in the first place. So you ask yourself, Annika, does all of this justify the 22.7 million rand budget and what you see here being at a price tag of 15 million rand?
Thanks so much, Aviwe Mtila, giving us such a good view there. And Taps, you and I just shaking our heads in disbelief, because initially we saw the pictures this morning. We thought, okay, look, does the rock blasting maybe cost a fortune? Maybe they're really great locker rooms with, you know, state-of-the-art showers or something. But you look at that and you have to hope to heaven that you have shoes on, because that, well, they're the locker rooms. I mean, I don't even know if the taps work. We'd have to find that out from him, Aviwe. But it just looks like a hostile place. It doesn't look like a panacea for young people trying to get off the streets.
Not at all. And Aviwe did a bit of homework for us, and he said that, you know, he's spoken to some experts who've said maybe 3 million rand for the kind of infrastructure that we've seen there. We would have understood if it was a synthetic running track. Those are expensive to have installed. And if maybe the field was grass or some sort of turf, you know, those kind of things cost a lot of money to install. But there's none of that. And we're laughing at the track, that isn't even laid out properly. We're laughing, but really it's just appalling to see. I
mean, we were laughing, but we were actually just sort of in disbelief.
In disbelief,
really.
Exactly.
And I think I could have actually made a better athletics track, and that's saying something. So,
for much cheaper.
So we will need some really you know, hard-hitting questions to the municipal manager there, and we will get them later, we're promised. Let's try and hold them to account and hope they take our call. Still ahead here.